Warp-wide Wargamers, Omega Warlord here, and I'm back with tactics, and we're going to talk about the most important tactical decision you can make, and that is the decisive point. Now, the decisive point is kind of ethereal and it's subjective. It's something you have to figure out. It's not me, it's not Fabian, it's not your opponent, at least you don't want your opponent to figure it out, but you've got to figure it out. Now, it's really, really hard to describe, so what I'm going to use is an analogy that I learned. Okay, and we call it the Fireside Analogy. Okay, so let me paint you a picture. You got a group of guys after a battle, they're sitting by the fireside and they're like, you know what? I knew we had them win. It's that moment. I knew we had them, maybe it's I knew we had them when we came back from the rear and took out their flank. Well, maybe that's it. That moment, I knew we had them win, that's the decisive point. That moment you know that you've won. Okay, that's what you have to find. In these games, we really get all, muddled up with, okay, I gotta secure this objective, and I've got to get to that corner, and that unit's gonna kill me. But you gotta know, when did you win? You might not have won at the end of the game. Okay, to put it this way, grabbing the objectives, killing the units, fulfilling the mission parameters in our mission analysis. That's how we win. The decisive point is why we win. It's a big difference there, okay? So I'm going to talk about how to find a decisive point, different things you can look for, and then what you want to start doing is start reviewing games you've played and say, hey, when was the decisive point? Win or lose? My opponent won when? I won when? That way you can start saying, I will win if, before the game starts, and you can find your decisive point. So let's talk about the different types of decisive points. There's three kinds. There's unit-based, terrain-based, and time-based. Okay, I'll talk about each one in turn. A unit-based decisive point is if you know you're going to win if you can kill that unit. Okay, I knew I won if that unit died. I know that I'll win if my unit stays out of assault. It can be enemy or friendly based. I know I win if that unit gets there. I know I win if this, okay? And that's a decisive point that's unit-based. A lot of times that's what we go to first. You look at your opponent's army, that's a really scary unit. If I can kill that, I can win. That's one you can think about. It might not be the one you need, but it's one that you can look at. And then you can start to formulate your plans once you have your decisive point. Terrain-based. Let's say that you've got a really good setup of terrain. I've got a little bit here, and there's no game going on, but maybe holding this piece right here allows me to fire out of it and hold an objective and this, and so I know I can win if I hold that piece. Well, that's your decisive point. Hold that piece of terrain. I know I can win if whatever you need, okay? Now, sometimes, along with terrain-based, I call it positional-based, which is I know I win if I stay out of assault. I know I win if I get to assault, okay? That could also be terrain/positional-based, that kind of idea. So we got unit, we've got terrain, then time. Time is kind of the one that's the most fleeting. Maybe you win if you can hit the same unit at the same time with two different units. Okay, that's a decisive point. That's time-based. It has to happen at the same time. Or the easier one, I know I'll win if I hold the objectives at the end. So I'm just going to live until the end and hold the objectives. I'm going to sit back and then very last turn, go! Get objectives. Okay, that's another time-based one. That could be terrain, positional, time. They could all kind of screw together like that. Okay, but that's your decisive point. Again, finding your decisive point. That's the most important thing you need to do. All right. Now, let me give you some examples. Let's say you're playing a game and you're playing against Space Marines. And it's a drop pod Space Marine list. So they got like 9 drop pods and there's tons of Marines and you're like, I don't know what I can do. You can create a decisive point. I know I can win if I deny them where they want to drop. So if I can move and get to these points before they drop in, then I can win. You can have that at a decisive point. Now, if you're going second and you can't do that, then you need a different decisive point. But that can be one that you could use, okay? I know I win if. Let's say you're playing Eldar and they've got tons of wave serpents. Okay, I know we gotta grab objectives. I can win if I can cripple the wave serpents. That's unit-based, all right? The first one, the Marine one's positional-based or terrain-based. That one's unit-based. I can win if I can get rid of the wave serpents. So you focus on getting rid of the wave serpents. All right, you're playing Necrons. I can win if I can tie the warriors up in assault and keep them from shooting. Position and unit. So you focus on getting to assault with the warriors. You're playing Astra Militarum. and I got a Bane Blade on the table. You know, it's a lot of points, right? I know I can win if I can kill that Bane Blade. So you focus on killing the Bane Blade. Having a decisive point gives you focus. It gives you the ability to look at a game and not have to go, well, let's see what happens on the next turn. You know what you're doing, okay? And that way, if something happens that you're not expecting, okay, how's that going to affect only my decisive point, not the whole game? And you might be able to say, you know what, they did that, and that's cool, but it doesn't stop me. I'm still doing that. Okay, cool, I've got my decisive point. So it's really, 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 really helpful. Now again, it's the decisive points are subjective, okay? And in the next field series, I'm going to set up a little scenario and say, okay guys, find your decisive point. And then show you 3 different decisive points. All right? The next thing you need to know about decisive point is kind of, you know, just learn from war in general. War ever changes. Decisive points, you might determine, hey, at the beginning, my decisive point is that ruined, and about 2 turns in go, that ain't going to do it. I need to find another decisive point. Now, that happens, okay? It happens to me all the time. It can get kind of frustrating. You know, every turn can have a different decisive point for you. Yeah, at that point you might want to reevaluate how you're determining your decisive points, but then again, you got to flow with the game. Dice happen, all right? My decisive point is kill that unit. I just rolled 19 ones. Or at least they've even rolled 19 ones. But that can happen, okay? And so you got to flow with that. Sometimes you have to change your decisive point, and then you might want to reevaluate your mission analysis that I talked about last time. But don't be locked in so much and get tunnel vision, okay? Also see what's going on around you. Be able to change if you need to. Now, you have to determine what's key. That's what it is. You have to determine what's key. And I'm going to leave you with this. This is an old little, a little saying, which is, if you defend everywhere, you defend nowhere. Find what's key, okay? Don't be like, my decisive point is to kill 7 units. Well, they have 7 units in their army. Good job, bud. All right? No, your decisive point has to be more specific. Look at your games. I knew I won win, or I knew I lost win. Find the decisive points, and then start finding them before the game. If you focus on that, I guarantee you, you'll see more success. And I'm going to show you how to focus on that better in our next one. As we'll talk about purpose and task. Something that we do with our units, but when you define it and you do it better, all right, you're going to get more use out of them. All right, so find your decisive points. All right, that's the hard part. You find that decisive point, not only will you win, you'll know why. How you win is objectives. Why you win is your decisive point. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next tactics video. Like, share, subscribe, and see you out there on the battlefield.